Objection handling is scary for most novice salespeople and is usually performed incorrectly without some training. The training is a fairly simple process, but it does require behavior modification. The only way to change your behavior is repeating the objection handling process over and over. Objection handling part 1 covers how to adjust your attitude towards objections and the reasons for objections. Objection handling part 2 depicts objection handling process as well as the 4 types of objections and the solutions for those types of objections. First and foremost, objections should be viewed positively, since the alternative is usually silence, and with silence you have no idea what the prospect is thinking. Thus, you should think of objections as new business opportunities. In addition, objections come in many forms based on a myriad of thoughts. In this video, we will illuminate many of these forms, as well as the thoughts. There are many strategies that have been developed to effectively help salespeople overcome objections, but most of this topic is covered in part 2 of our objection handling video lectures. So why are objections opportunities? First, if the prospect tells you no, they are actually providing you with information. Usually their no is accompanied by some rationale for their no. But if all you get is a no, then you can still ask why in a non-confrontational manner. Think of objections as just one more way to better understand the customer and their needs. In addition, customers with problems that have been rectified are usually more loyal than customers who have never had a problem with your product or service. When a customer raises an objection, it means it is an issue that is important to them. So do not think of it as a no, but rather as a great reason to further explore the customer's needs and discuss alternative solutions and possibly upsell or cross-sell other solutions that better fit the customer's needs. When we explore the customer's needs, it is time for the customer to talk, so let them, even if you are slightly bored. Also, listen intently, since when the customer is exposing their needs, they are giving you the most valuable sales information imaginable. This information can be used later to meet their needs, which directly leads to a sale. In addition, you need to ask the correct questions to learn more about the customer's needs. Please refer to the questioning and spin lecture material for exploring the customer's needs. Last, listening to the customer builds rapport, since the customer is talking about issues that are important to them, and as such will feel very good when they talk about these issues and like you more. If handled correctly, an objection leads to a discussion of alternative solutions. The prospect has basically said, no, that doesn't work for me. So the salesperson needs to ask in a appropriate manner, what does work for you? Once an alternative solution dialogue has been opened, ideas should start flowing regarding an alternative solution and also additional needs. Once the prospect's needs are exposed, there is almost always the opportunity to upsell or cross-sell, since most firms offer a plethora of products. The last reason objection is an opportunity is that, as previously mentioned, unhappy people who are made happy again tend to become more loyal than ones who were never unhappy. This concept is known as customer recovery. Recovered customers are 50% more likely to repeat their purchase. This increase is so significant that the customer recovery effect on loyalty can be generalized to prospects and other situations, especially sales. Now, please pause your video and answer the first question for the video lecture, which is, why should objections be considered opportunities rather than problems to overcome? Now, so when we respond to an objection, usually we respond to them when they are raised. So objections are almost always raised, and when do we handle them? In the beginning, in the end, etc. If we know these objections are coming, the ones that are really common, we try to predict them and handle them early. Okay, and sometimes we delay, like price. Price comes, we don't want to talk about it right away because we want to talk about the benefits. Often salespeople will delay that. If they keep raising the price objection, well, we got to deal with it. So we have 3 options: right away, or later, or before they're raised, if possible. Okay, objections come in many forms. This is not a problem. However, you need to recognize an objection in any form. Sometimes objections are raised via questions, sometimes via statements, and sometimes via nonverbal behaviors that demonstrate unhappiness, concern, or rejection. Mhm. All right, the reasons for objections are numerous, and they often do not match the words that are spoken. For example, an objection based on a lack of information can be stated many ways, but the prospect never says, I don't have enough information to make this decision. No, they don't say that. It's more like the prospect will provide an erroneous reason for the delay so they have time to gather more information from sources they trust. Other reasons for objections are the fear of making a mistake, the prospect is frustrated by their work, or their ability to comprehend your product's impact on their business, or maybe bad timing of your requests. For example, maybe their boss just mandated a 20% cost reduction across all areas of the firm, so it's not in the budget. Or maybe their spouse just called with a personal crisis and they just can't deal with you right now. All right, please pause your video now and answer the second question for this video lecture, which is, which of the following statements is most likely made by a prospect when they have a lack of information objection? Objections might also stem from a previous negative experience with your firm or from negative word of mouth regarding you or your firm. Generally, a prospect will be open to you rectifying incorrect perceptions bestowed upon you or your firm by a third party. Yet, you must still handle this objection, as well as all objections, in a tactful manner. Sometimes the prospect just doesn't like you. It might be your dress, or haircut, or your personality, or your gender, perhaps your ethnicity, or your economic status, or your age. Everyone has some biases, at least in one of these areas. And almost everyone expects to buy certain products or services from specific types of people that they imagine are from that industry or how their sales position should look. For example, for a $10 million home, many older rich people would expect to buy this home from an older successful agent and would be skeptical of a 25-year-old salesperson driving a Honda. Regardless of the reason for these personal biases, if you find yourself unable to overcome your prospect's biases, then set up a new meeting and bring in your sales manager or technical expert or someone who is likely to meet the expectations of this prospect. For example, one time I was attempting to close a $300,000 consulting project. Good project. The prospect made it clear they didn't like my boss, Dale, who started the whole event with me. However, it was a complex project that required multiple sessions, so later on I informed Dale that he couldn't attend future meetings, because that's what the prospect said, but he would still get his share of the profits via off-site research, etc. Then I brought in George, since everybody likes George. I closed the deal, and George and I delivered a very successful consulting project. Unfortunately for me, after everything was conducted and it was time for me to get paid, Dale seized most of my share. So be careful about cutting off your boss, or cutting your boss out, because later on he's going to cut you out. It kind of happens. All right. Our last reason for objections have to do with bad service or outcomes in the past. Perhaps the salesperson was late for a meeting or a previous order was delivered late. As you can see from the list on my left, there are many factors influencing the customer's perspective of their service quality. Obviously, any of these issues are reasons for concern that can break down the trust in the buyer-seller relationship. When these types of issues come up, the customers need reassurance, as well as consistent service, now and in the future. In time, the trust can be rebuilt. Please pause your video now and answer the third question for this video lecture, which is, what should you do if a prospect does not like you? This concludes our lecture on objection handling part 1. Thank you for your attention.